After a breakup, the natural response is often confusion, pain, and a desire to act, to fix what feels broken. Yet, the choices a man makes in these moments define not only his emotional growth, but also how he is perceived by the woman who once shared his life. Understanding female psychology is essential because what may feel like harmless coping to a man can, in reality, push her further away, cementing distance and regret. One of the most common mistakes is clinging desperately or begging for reconciliation. Many men believe that showing intense persistence will demonstrate love or commitment. But the truth is, women are instinctively sensitive to the energy behind actions. When a man appears desperate, it signals insecurity, dependence, and a lack of emotional control. Genuine attraction is fueled by confidence, not neediness. By clinging, a man unknowingly diminishes his value in her eyes, making reconciliation less likely. The healthy approach is to process the emotions internally, respect her decision, and focus on personal growth. This not only strengthens a man's character, but also subtly reminds a woman of his maturity and stability. Another trap men fall into is posting passive-aggressive content online. Social media has become a modern battleground for post-breakup expression. Cryptic messages, bitter quotes, or "look at how I'm doing fine without you" posts may seem harmless, even satisfying in the moment. But women read these signals clearly. Emotional immaturity and instability are red flags. Such behavior rarely evokes sympathy or attraction. Instead, it confirms that the man is struggling to regulate his emotions, which can permanently impact her perception of him. Education in emotional intelligence teaches men that true recovery is private, reflective, and constructive rather than performative. Closely tied to this is the mistake of ghosting or withdrawing without closure. Some men assume disappearing entirely will make a woman chase them or realize what she lost. In reality, this tactic creates confusion and resentment. Women value emotional intelligence and clarity. Providing closure, even in a calm and respectful conversation, demonstrates maturity and compassion. A man who can navigate a breakup with dignity leaves a lasting impression, showing that he can manage emotions, communicate effectively, and maintain composure under stress. Then comes the misstep of turning to other women too quickly. Jumping into another relationship immediately after a breakup or openly flirting is often misread as emotional rebound rather than genuine affection. Women notice this behavior and may feel devalued or like a placeholder. Psychologically, it communicates that the man's attachment to her was superficial or easily replaceable. The wiser path is self-reflection and self-care, using the time to heal and grow rather than distract. Women respect men who take responsibility for their emotions rather than seeking instant validation elsewhere. Another critical error is harsh criticism or blaming. Many men feel the need to rationalize the breakup by pointing out the partner's flaws or blaming her for the failure. This approach rarely leads to reconciliation or understanding. It escalates conflict, fosters negativity, and erodes respect. Women are more attracted to men who acknowledge mistakes, reflect on their own growth, and handle adversity gracefully. Criticism and blame create emotional barriers, while accountability and empathy open doors to future possibilities, whether friendship, respect, or mutual closure. Finally, many men make the subtle but damaging mistake of suppressing emotions without reflection. Bottling up pain, pretending everything is fine, or avoiding introspection can appear strong externally, but internally it prevents personal growth. Women are psychologically attuned to unresolved emotions. Emotional suppression signals a lack of self-awareness, reducing respect and connection. Healthy recovery involves acknowledging pain, reflecting on lessons learned, and channeling emotions into constructive growth. Emotional transparency, even in private, strengthens character and prepares men for better relationships in the future. In essence, the post-breakup period is a test of emotional maturity and understanding of female psychology. Avoiding desperation, public displays of resentment, abrupt withdrawal, rushed relationships, blame, and suppressed emotions is not just about winning her back or maintaining pride. It's about becoming a man who embodies self-respect, resilience, and wisdom. Every choice in these moments sends a message, either reinforcing negative patterns or cultivating personal growth that will resonate in future relationships. The worst things men do after a breakup are not merely mistakes. They are missed opportunities to grow, reflect, and ultimately become a better version of themselves. After a breakup, one of the most common and instinctive reactions a man experiences is the urge to cling, to beg, and to do everything possible to win her back. The heart races, emotions run wild, and there is an overwhelming desire to fix what feels broken. However, this instinctive behavior is psychologically one of the worst mistakes a man can make after a woman ends the relationship. It is crucial to understand that this reaction, though natural, signals insecurity and emotional dependence rather than the strength and confidence that women are truly attracted to. Women, by nature, are acutely sensitive to the energy a man projects. They do not simply react to words or actions in isolation, they perceive the underlying emotions, intentions, and the energy behind those behaviors. When a man clings desperately or begs for reconciliation, it communicates a lack of self-control, dependence on her validation, and emotional vulnerability in a way that can push her further away rather than draw her closer. In psychological terms, desperate behavior triggers a subconscious alarm in women. They instinctively recognize neediness as a signal that a man cannot regulate his own emotional state and is seeking external sources of self-worth. Attraction is rooted in confidence, composure, and emotional stability. When a man begs, pleads, or continually reaches out in an attempt to convince her to return, it undermines the very qualities that generate genuine desire. Instead of appearing loving or devoted, he appears desperate. And desperation is universally unattractive in human relationships. The first element to understand is that clinging behavior is often driven by fear rather than love. Many men mistakenly believe that persistence equals affection, that by demonstrating relentless desire they can prove their love. Yet, what women perceive is not devotion, but a lack of self-assurance. Fear-driven actions, such as incessant messaging, repeated calls, or showing up unexpectedly, reveal anxiety, instability, and insecurity. Women, consciously or subconsciously, seek a partner who embodies emotional strength and resilience. When a man reacts to the breakup with panic, he communicates the opposite of stability, which diminishes respect and admiration. True emotional strength is shown not in chasing after what is lost, but in maintaining one's composure, reflecting on the relationship, and valuing oneself independently of her approval. Another key aspect is that clinging behavior often leads to resentment from both sides. When a man pursues a woman who has made the decision to end the relationship, it creates tension and frustration. She may begin to feel suffocated or pressured, as though her autonomy and decision-making are being challenged. From a psychological perspective, human beings naturally resist control or pressure, even if it comes from someone they once loved. Begging for reconciliation can transform a situation that initially required compassion and understanding into a dynamic of conflict and avoidance. Women may emotionally withdraw further or respond with irritation, which then amplifies the man's sense of panic, creating a vicious cycle of desperation and rejection. It is also important to recognize that clinging behavior often masks an inability to process grief and emotional loss in a healthy way. Many men externalize their pain by trying to manipulate outcomes, seeking validation through attempts to reconcile. This is often accompanied by rationalizations such as, "I'll do anything to make her stay," or "If she really loved me, she would come back." These thoughts, while understandable, prevent the necessary internal reflection that fosters growth. Women, even after a breakup, are attuned to emotional intelligence. They notice when a man is capable of introspection, learning from mistakes, and taking responsibility for his own emotions. Begging or clinging, in contrast, signals stagnation and immaturity, which diminishes future potential in the relationship dynamic. Furthermore, clinging behavior damages self-esteem and personal dignity. A man who invests his energy solely into winning a woman back risks losing his sense of identity. He may prioritize her approval above his own emotional needs, goals, and values. This creates a pattern of dependency that undermines personal growth and resilience. Women are often unconsciously attracted to men who maintain a strong sense of self, even in the face of rejection. By clinging, a man inadvertently communicates that his self-worth is contingent upon her presence, which weakens his appeal and reduces the possibility of long-term attraction. The solution, rooted in both psychology and practical wisdom, is to cultivate patience, self-awareness, and emotional regulation. The first step is accepting the reality of the breakup without immediately seeking to reverse it. Acceptance does not mean surrendering love or denying one's feelings. It means acknowledging that the situation is beyond immediate control and that the appropriate response is measured reflection rather than impulsive action. By creating space for both parties, a man demonstrates emotional maturity and respect for her autonomy. This is often more attractive than desperate pursuit, as it communicates strength, confidence, and self-sufficiency. Self-improvement is a critical component of overcoming the instinct to cling. When a man focuses on personal growth, developing emotional resilience, pursuing goals, and nurturing friendships, he channels his energy constructively. This not only improves his own life, but also enhances his attractiveness in the eyes of women. Women are drawn to men who live purposefully and who are capable of managing their emotions independently. By shifting the focus from winning her back to self-development, a man transitions from desperation to empowerment, which is far more compelling psychologically. Another important aspect is communication exercised with careful thought and emotional intelligence. If reconciliation is a genuine possibility, interactions should be measured, calm, and respectful. Emotional appeals, pleading, or manipulative tactics are counterproductive. Instead, a man can express his feelings honestly and briefly, demonstrating awareness of both his own emotions and her boundaries. Women respond positively to clarity and composure. They do not need to be persuaded through desperation. They are more likely to be influenced by the demonstration of maturity and self-respect. In conclusion, the tendency to cling desperately or beg for reconciliation after a breakup is a common but damaging mistake that undermines attraction, respect, and personal growth. It is fueled by fear, insecurity, and the misconception that persistence equals love. Women are sensitive to emotional energy, and desperation signals weakness rather than devotion. True recovery and attraction are rooted in acceptance, self-awareness, emotional regulation, and purposeful action. By resisting the impulse to chase, focusing on personal development, and maintaining composure, a man not only preserves his dignity, but also enhances his long-term potential for meaningful connections, whether with her or someone else. The path of reflection, growth, and emotional intelligence is far more powerful than any desperate plea. Understanding this fundamental principle is essential for navigating heartbreak with strength, wisdom, and resilience.